Struggling to understand the differences between a low block and a Brazilian box? Confused as to whether you should be forcing the opposition in or outside? Or just getting frustrated as to why your £30 million starting striker can't hit a barn door? Well, worry no more, as RDF Tactics is here to assist you with the issues that affect your team. RDF, this is your jam, right?
Oh, my bread and butter.
You know what? I think this is the part of the show that people are getting involved with. Okay, now before we get into the tactics garage, the doors are sort of cranking open as we speak. Now, we actually got a lovely tweet praising this section, by the way, from
did we?
From a listener called @Metally Muse. I hope I pronounced that right. They've wrote straight to you as well, by the way. Obviously, they want @RDF Tactics. Really enjoyed your tactics garage this week, bro. Hearing you talk about how the player roles move gave me real food for thought and made me think about how they would interact with others around them. Was good to hear these little bits that aren't listed in a player description.
That's the aim. That is the aim, and that's the purpose for these sort of tactical garages for you guys.
It's what it's all about. It's what it's all about. Now, of course, as we say, we do put a call to arms for people to send their tactics in to be evaluated by RDF, to be tweaked. This, again, has come in via Twitter from @WakeyRush, who has said, this is my current try at a defensive counter-attacking formation. I love it already. For Middlesbrough. Now, that's a club vision as well, by the way, that defensive counter-attacking football. I'm expected to fight bravely against relegation. He's in the third season in the Premier League. He's trying to buy young, develop and grow together. But he says it's very hit and miss and concedes too many and often gets very little chances. Now, RDF, for the listeners at home, can you describe to us what you can see on the screen in terms of how this tactic is set up, player roles, instructions, etc.?
Let's whip this up. So on my screen right now, we've currently got a goalkeeper, a back four. It's a 4-3-3 with a custom fluid counter-attack. So I believe he's got the counter-attacking preset and just tweaked it slightly, which I recommend, especially if you're new to tactics, if you're new to Football Manager, I recommend you use that. The presets are very good and you can just tweak it. But in the back four, he's got 2 wing-backs and 2 centre-backs. In DLP, or in defensive midfield, he's got a DLP. In midfield, he's got a central midfielder, box-to-box, 2 wingers, one being inverted winger, the other's being an inside forward, and a DLF up top. He's regrouping. He's got lower line of engagement and a lower defensive line. I know you'll be happy to hear that, Tony.
I'm all about that low line. Give me the low line. One quick thing before we get further, though, just a little bit of clarity, of course, for listeners or people who are brand new.
Yeah.
With regard to preset drop down, so you mentioned there about this fluid counter attack.
Oh yes.
Where do you find that on the tactical style screen?
So if you just load or start a new save, and it should ask you to go to your tactics screen anyway, because that's one of the first things that the game will ask you to do. And then it will come up with a tactic creating. Or if you're already in that tactics screen and you go to the tactics screen, you can always press the add. There's a little additional add button just where it says tactics. You can't miss it really. And then it will give you the option to create a new tactic. And then slightly on the left hand side, it will ask you to choose a tactical style. And this is where you can choose from controlled possession to gegenpress, Catenaccio, park the bus. You've got the option for you, and you can play FM the way you like.
Excellent. And that does, of course, come with a few presets. So if you are a tactical newbie or a bit like myself and a bit of a tactical person who struggles, can't even give myself an actual title, there is some preset stuff there. With regards to roles as well, you mentioned a couple of roles, again, maybe some of the listeners might not be familiar with. A sweeper keeper on defend and a DLF.
So a sweeper keeper on defend, you've got a sweeper keeper. You can just imagine your high defensive line, and you kind of want your sweeper because your defenders might not be able to get there. So you got your sweeper keeper, and a sweeper keeper will have 3 different duties. And there will be defense, there will be support, and there will be attack. Obviously, with attack, you're adding more risk to your goalkeeper, especially in possession. Support is kind of the middle road, and then you've got defend. And the DLF for me is just a deep lying forward. And with this guy's issues, he's conceding a lot and he's not scoring enough. And I'm looking at his tactics at the moment, And the first thing that I noticed on the defensive side, he's got 2 wingbacks. Now, wingbacks are role, and naturally a wingback is looking to get further ahead. And that is one role that I'll be looking to change, because maybe the wingbacks are getting too far ahead, leaving gaps and leaving your 2 centre-backs exposed. So the wingbacks I'll possibly change to fullbacks. And then again, in midfield, he's trying to operate in a low block. So you kind of want to keep your midfield lines tight. You want some midfield structure. You want structure in your midfield. The 3 roles that he's chosen is a deep line playmaker, a box-to-box, and a central midfielder who is attacking. For me, there's hardly anybody there providing any sort of structure. The DLP, though he's on defend, he's mainly a creative player. So he's still thinking creativity first. You got your box-to-box midfielder who's going to be leaving his position to roam around. And then he's got his central midfielder on attack who, again, is going to be leaving his positions a lot. So for the central midfielder on attack, I'll probably remove that as well from attack, and possibly I'll just leave the deep line playmaker on defend, but I'll possibly change central midfielder on attack just so your midfield is a little bit sturdy.
Yeah, I think a bit more defensive solidity in there, isn't it? Obviously, that box-to-box midfield is going to get up and down, and if you're just leaving the DLP on their own, then that's going to be a bit of a concern. You were saying there about wing-backs potentially being a little bit too attacking. I can see on the right-hand side, down here, it looks like his right wing-back is on attack, but his left wing-back is on automatic. Now, I've dabbled with automatic before. Can you explain to me what happens if I just leave it on automatic? Like, is that just the computer just lets the... well, that's all right. You try and go for it, because I've got no idea.
So most players, like an inside forward, will have different duties. So there's a supportive duty and there's an attacking duty. With the wing back on automatic, they kind of go with your team mentality. So you got your team mentality as well, and players have a separate mentality. So for an example now, if I leave my wing backs on automatic and I change my team mentality to defensive, now that wing back will also be defensive, and vice versa. Now, if I change my team mentality to attacking, that wing back on automatic is now a wing back on attack. In Football Manager, they color code it so it's easier for you to understand. So if it's attacking, they will turn green. The little duty will turn green. If they're more balanced, like a positive mentality, balanced mentality, or cautious mentality, then it will be light blue. Or if it's defensive, then it will turn red. So you will know the automatic color will change on the player role.
Okay, so that's interesting in terms of roles then. So we're saying here about defensively, okay, we can tweak the defensive line so we know what we're going to do there in order to stop conceding goals. But chance creation, now again, this is something that I struggle with as well, to be honest. I can just about get the defence set up, but creating not just number of chances, but quality of chances as well. Like what is our listener missing here? And what can you obviously offer as advice to people in the situation?
He's got no outlet. For me, he's defending deep. He's regrouping. So you've got to kind of picture this in your head. He's playing in a 4-3-3 and he's dropping deep. So everybody is coming back. They're coming back. They're all dropping deep to help the team defend. Now it's your time to counter attack and get the ball forward. You don't really have that outlet. If you need to pump the ball forward, because you're not necessarily going to play out from the back all fancy tiki-taki style, you're going to try sometimes kick the ball long because you want to go on the counter attack. Now, he's got a DLF up top, deep line forward, who will hold up the ball, but at the same time, he's not really an outlet. He's going to drop deep, and a DLF, he wants to link up play. He wants to get the ball out on the flanks. He wants runners off him. And this isn't really the system for that. If you want to sit deep and you want to counter attack quickly, then you would want an outlet. So for me, I would possibly change the deep line forward. You've got a few options. You've got an advanced forward, a pressing forward on attack, or a target forward on attack. And all of those are focal points for your attack. So advanced forward, you're aiming down the channels and you're trying to get your advanced forward to basically attack those channels, stretch the opponent's defense. A target forward, most of us know what a target forward is. If you don't know, your vocal point in attack. Now, if you're down the flanks, you're aiming for your target man. Your goalkeeper, possibly aiming for your target man. And then you just have your pressing forward, who's kind of a harder working version of your advanced forward. He's still trying to run those channels, but his main objective is to close down those defenders and cause havoc.
Interesting. Okay, well, that's to be honest, that makes a lot of sense to me anyway. Andy at Wakey Rush, let us know if that helps after a few games of tweaking, and do of course get back in touch with us and see if that helps. If you need to bring your team to the Tactics Garage, tweet us with a screenshot, and more importantly, tell us what's wrong with it like Andy did. You can tweet it to myself at Tony Jameson, but it's probably better if you tweet it to Aaron at RDF Tactics. You're listening to the Football Manager Show from The Athletic. On The Athletic, you can read the fine penmanship of Dermot Corrigan, Daniel Taylor, Carl Anker, and many more. How do you become a subscriber? Visit theathletic.com/FM pod. That's theathletic.com/FM pod. And if you've never subscribed before, you can join up for 6 months for £6. It's that simple. Do it today.